went through a lot of work to come up with what we think as government and the stakeholders who met to come up with an NCD strategy. So are the processes we are going through in terms of research and demonstration projects, are they geared to informing us to know how to move this strategy ahead? So the how. How do we identify research gaps? Because we will start there. We have so much research, we need to sift it through and see what are the gaps and how can we use that to create a roadmap for implementation research? That's the first how. The next how is, how do we identify research needs and evidence and priorities to support the NCD strategy implementation? Another very critical how. And finally, how do we work towards a common framework? We have many people and organizations that deal with NCD research per se. We have KEMRI, we have RTI, we have everybody else, Nairobi University, AMPATH, Moi University, Kenyatta University, everybody, including the ministry which does its own operational research, some things. So how do we come up with a common framework to develop evidence base for actionable policy? So we have our work cut out.
As a continent, and especially within the sub-Saharan Africa, I think we've made significant progress in the field of health, and more in particular in trying to come up with policies and national action plans to address many health challenges that are in this country. But of course, the progress has not been very steady. Of course, it has been very slow. And this has been happening in the midst of challenges, several challenges. Of course, the issues of infectious disease outbreak, the emerging and re-emerging diseases, and the rising trends of NCDs and injuries. I think these are some of the challenges that we need to tackle them head on. And as we transition from the MDGs to SDGs, remember that we still have the unfinished agenda that will need to be really tackled. The theme of the workshop, I think, for us as a country, as a ministry, is very appropriate, is very desirable. Research for actionable policies, I think this is very okay with us. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it is then my great pleasure to be here today to be able to officiate the opening ceremony of the Research for Actionable Policies Symposium, that is, whose theme is implementation, science priorities to scale up the NCD's interventions in the country. This symposium is indeed timely, as it is happening when our country and the greater sub-Saharan Africa region is experiencing a significant rise in the burden of chronic non-communicable diseases. NCDs are not just a serious threat to our social and economic development, but in fact, they are real threats to our very existence if no appropriate interventions are put in place. While infectious diseases still remain the leading causes of death and causes of disease and death in our region, the incidence and mortality from non-communicable diseases and injuries is rising rapidly, resulting in the double burden of diseases and further straining our existing systems and resources. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed gratifying to note that this symposium aims at fostering further the understanding of the current research landscape and identifying gaps that will pave way for the creation of a roadmap for implementation of research that will provide a common framework to development the evidence base for actionable policies in NCD's prevention and control.